Hey everyone, Cody here.
I'm Sage.
You gotta speak up, alright?
Hi, I'm Sage.
Okay, and this is my daughter Sage, and we are MTG Knights. Today we're gonna be taking a look at Sage's deck and kind of what it is and what we would like to do with it maybe to improve it. Just to kind of show you or give you ideas of this type of deck, what you can do, or maybe give you some ideas on how to build the type of deck that we're going to talk about today. And also, if you see things in the deck that we could make improvements on, you can leave a comment in the comment section below. So, first off, what color is your deck, Sage?
My deck is green.
Green. And what does it do? Like, what would you say your deck mostly does? Now, there's kind of a name for it, but I want to see in your own words.
It does trample and death touch a lot.
Okay. And what do you have a lot of in your deck?
Hydras.
Hydras? Yeah, we put a lot of Hydras in there. Well, cool. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we'll take a look at Sage's deck. We'll show you the cards in it and kind of explain why we have those cards in it. And then afterwards, we'll talk about maybe some of the changes we want to make when we get cards in the upcoming future, and maybe some things that we could do to maybe improve the deck. Hey, get out of here, cat. Alright, so we'll head over to the small camera and we'll take a look at the deck. Oh, I forgot to mention what Sage's deck is. So basically, what you're going to see today is a mono green ramp. Okay, so this mono green ramp deck. There's a thunderstorm outside apparently. So yeah, that happened. Hopefully we don't lose the lights while we're recording. Anyway, so Sage's deck is a mono green ramp deck. So it's got a lot of high cost creatures. It's got a lot of cards to fetch lands. And while there's a few cards in here that are a few like maybe a splash of some other colors or artifacts or something like that are colorless, the deck is predominantly green and it does ramp. So I figured I'd explain that before we show the cards so people know what type of deck it is. It's a mono green ramp with a lot of high cost creatures and a lot of cards to pull forest out into her hand. Now we're going to head over in just a second and explain, she's going to show you the cards that are in her deck. The last thing I'll say is that she has 24 land, so she is running 24 land, 4 of them being basic fetch lands, so 2 Terramorphics and 2 Evolvings. The rest are strictly forests, so 24 total. But now we'll go ahead and head over. Hopefully the thunder and lightning don't shut the lights off, and we'll show you that deck.
This is my land for my deck. I have 4 fetch lands, 2 Evolving Wilds and 2
Morphic Expanses.
Yes, Terramorphic Expanses. And then I have 24 forests.
No, you have 20 forests. You have 24 land total.
Oh, 20.
Yeah.
20 forests.
Okay, what do you have for instant sorceries and enchantments?
This is a artifact.
It's a monument.
And for every green creature, spell costs me 1 less to cast, and it gains whenever I.
That's okay. If it's too hard, you don't have to read each card. You can just kind of show the card and explain why you use
I
it.
have a Plummet, destroy target creature with flying. Rampant Growth is where I could have put a basic land on the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle my library. Naturalize is destroy target artifact or enchantment. Grapple with the past. Put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard. Then I can return a creature or land graveyard to my hand from my graveyard. This one pulls out.
You don't have to read all that.
Yeah.
This is pilgrimage to get 2 basic land or 3 if she has spell mastery.
And then Cartouche of Strength. When I enchant it, it's it gets a 1/1 and has Trample, and it gets to fight target creature an opponent controls.
Okay. So we'll move into Planeswalkers and creatures.
This is one of my Planeswalkers. I have 2 in my deck. This is Garruk Wildspeaker. He costs 4.
You don't have to read the whole thing. You can just keep showing them. They'll be able to see it.
Yeah. I have Nissa Worldwaker. Costs 5. And yeah.
Well, all right. So here we'll go back to Garruk. So Garruk is more, she gets to untap the lands, but she also gets the green creatures and possibility of Trample. So for Nissa, go ahead and show Nissa. For Nissa, similar. I mean, she gets to untap the forest, but they also become creatures. So essentially, they're there to help her, untap the land or use them as creatures. Go ahead.
And my -7, I could pull out all my lands and make them 4/4 creatures with Trample, but they're still lands.
It's pretty epic.
I have a Deadly Recluse, Reach and Death Touch.
So let me ask you this: why do you have that card in your deck?
Because I'm trying to go for more like Trample, Reach, and Death Touch.
Why Death Touch and why Reach?
Because a lot of people, Harmony has flying. You have flying. A lot of people have flying.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of flying. That's exactly it. Go ahead.
And it kills people. It kills them right away.
That's right.
Then I have this Hydra. It costs 6 for a 7/7. I can pay for monstrosity, and when it comes to monstrosity, monstrous, pay for as many XX green Hydra creature tokens on the battlefield. I have Heroes Bane. It costs 5. It comes out as a 0/0, but when you put it on the battlefield, it gets 4 1/1 counters on it. If I pay 4, I put X 1/1 counters on it, where X is its power.
So the Heroes Bane essentially is a decent 5 cost, but really what you're getting it for is for the secondary effect where you get to double the strength. So that's why Heroes Bane is in this deck. Go ahead.
I have Oran-Rief Hydra. It's a 5/5 with Trample, but the cool thing about it is it has landfall, and whenever land enters the battlefield under my control, it gets a 1/1 counter, but if it's a forest, it gets 2 1/1 counters instead.
And that thing becomes incredibly strong, procking those landfall because, let's go back real quick just to show this one. So on the landfall, I mean, if you think about it, if you're procking those evolving wilds, then you get the double landfall. So you get the first counter for the evolving, and then you get the 2 for the forest. So that's 3 that you got in one turn. So that's what makes this card so strong and nice to have in a deck like this. Oh, go ahead.
I have a two Gnarlwood Dryads. It's a 1/1 Dead Touch, costs 1, which gets out really fast. It has Delirium. It gets a 2/2 as long as there are 4 or more card types in your graveyard, whatever.
So this is a great card, just as a blocker, but also it can become kind of a nuisance if you play something like a milling deck, which puts a ton of types of cards in your deck, or your graveyard. So then you can get that 3/3 proc for a 1 cost. So it makes it a decent defender.
I have
Oashra Cultivator.
Yeah, I can never say her name.
Oashra Cultivator.
It costs 1. It's a 0/3. If I sacrifice it, search my library for basic land, put it on the battlefield tap, and shuffle my library. It comes out. It's a good defender for 1.
Yeah, it is.
This is one of my new cards. It's a 6 with Trample. It's not one of the good ones that I've added, but it's one of the ones I got.
I mean, it's a decent card. The one thing you want to look at is the effects for the cost aren't really that great. So it's not a bad card per se, but you'll notice that it's not really, it's not an uncommon or anything. So, I mean, we have it to have it, but I think that that's one card we could probably consider looking at an alternative for the cost, for something to do more. Go ahead.
I have the Ulvenwald Hydra. this thing gets so...
This is the beast right here, the mythic rare Ulvenwald Hydra. Go ahead.
It costs 6, but when it comes out, it comes out with the land, and its power and its toughness are equal to the number of lands I control. So I can get this up really high before anyone else like kills me off, and I pull out a lot of land in my deck. So
and it's got reach,
yeah.
which is usually the one downfall of most of the Hydras. So you know this thing tends to only get stronger and stronger. You've got.
I have 3 of those. I need another one.
Good card.
I have Sylvan Ranger. Costs 2 for a 1/1, but when it enters the battlefield, I search my library for a basic land, reveal it, and put it in my hand. So it gets pretty good.
Just get those land, you know, out of the deck and in your hand faster. So
I have Ambush Viper. Costs 2 for a 2/1, Death Touch Flash. In Flash, I can just play it anytime I want.
Well,
it's like an instant.
Like an instant, yes. So I mean, it's a good card to play if someone's going to attack you and they think you have no blockers, but then you can play it. So it's just a, you know, it's just a kind of an ace in the hole type card. Go ahead.
I have 2 of those. All right, so my mom, she has a milling deck. So she always targets me because my deck's annoying. It's Splinterfright's power and toughness are equal to the number of creature cards in your graveyard. But at the beginning of my upkeep, I put 2 cards in my graveyard, which is not, it's fine.
Well, 3. I mean, that just means it gets stronger and stronger. So
yeah, milling myself as she mills me out. But it has trample, so I mean, she blocks with like a 1/1.
It can be good.
It can. All right, now I like this one.
I haven't really seen this one.
It's one of the new ones we got from the box.
Cool.
It costs 6 for an 8/8. It has trample. But the thing about this is other creatures I control have trample.
Oh, wow.
So all my creatures get trample.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty dope.
I have Gaea's Revenge.
I hate this card.
It's 8 for 8/5.
I think it's pronounced Gaea.
Gaea.
I could be wrong.
I don't know.
Anyway, go ahead.
It can't be countered. My only card that has haste and... Sorry. That hurts.
Do you want me to hold it for you?
No, it's just at this arm.
Okay.
Gaea, whatever his
Gaea's
name.
Revenge.
Yeah, can't be the target of non-green smells or abilities from non-green sources. I have 2 of these, but only one's in my deck right now.
It's kind of a higher cost card. So 7 land, even in a ramp deck, 7. It still takes a little while to get 7 land. You could probably get out as soon as like 4 turns. But, you know, unless they're not really drawing land, sometimes it's not ideal. But it's a good card for what it is. Go ahead.
I have Majestic Myriarch, whatever his name is.
Myriarch?
Yeah, whatever. I don't know.
So you want me to sum it up for you?
Yeah.
The power and toughness is equal to twice the number of creatures you control. But essentially he gets at the beginning of combat, he gets any other effects that your other creatures have, like Death Touch, Lifelink, Double Strike, so on and so forth. So he essentially mimics all of the other things that any of your other creatures have. So he's a great card, you know, if you have something with like Trample, then he gets it too, or Flying, or, you know, things like that. So it's a good card overall just because if you can put a bunch of tokens out, you know, or something like that, then you can really ramp them up, so...
He's the creature with wings but can't fly.
True. Well, he could get flying.
He could, but I never have flying. So I have Seed Guardian. He has reach, but when it dies, put an XX green elemental creature token onto the battlefield, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. And that's good against my mom's milling deck because she still gets a lot of creatures in my graveyard.
It's easy, like 5/5, 10/10, something like that.
20/20.
Yeah.
Okay, I have Skarrg Goliath. It's a legendary. It has trample. It's a 9/9. Costs 8.
Yes.
Has Blood Rush. If I pay 7, discard it. Attacking creature gets a 9/9 and gains trample. So if I still had Ghoul Tree, it would already be a 10/10, have a 9/9, and and have trample.
And have trample.
I have Primal Dryad.
Druid.
Cost 2. Yeah, it's starting to hurt.
Okay.
It costs 2. When it's a 0/3, so it's another good blocker. When it dies, I search my library for basic land card, put on the battlefield tap, shuffle my library.
Yeah, I mean for a 2 cost, it's not a bad, early card, especially because it's going to get that.
I have a
land
1
out.
that has that, but you have to sacrifice it.
We could definitely use more Primal Druids.
And that I need more of those. Definitely. It costs 5. It's 5/4. Has Trample. When it enters the battlefield, I gain 5 life. My deck actually used to be based on gaining life. I had one of those.
Yeah.
I cannot say his name.
Yavimaya.
Yeah.
Yavimaya Elder.
Yeah, whatever. It's a 2/1. When it enters the battlefield, I search my library for 2 basic land cards, reveal them, put in my hand. If you do, shuffle your library. And if I pay 2, sacrifice it, I can draw a card.
And then your last card, Garruk's Companion. Simply a 2 cost, 3/2 Trample. Nothing exciting there. So that is it. So we'll head over and let's talk about it real quick. All right, so we looked at the deck a little in depth. Man, I really like these full art cards. These Amon Kit cards are awesome.
I want my whole deck just full
So
of these
cool.
ones.
Anyway, derail. Okay, so let's talk about this deck real quick. First off, what do you like about your deck?
The Hydras.
The Hydras. What do you not like about your deck?
There's nothing to not like about it. Except for I don't have a lot of... I need more Death Touch creatures, so...
Why Death Touch?
Some are just easy to play, and like if everyone else has high cost creatures and stuff, like I could easily, if you attack me, you probably wouldn't though, that's why. You guys would kill it and then attack me, but it would be easier to kill off your guys' high cost creatures. Or not high cost.
Death Touch makes sense as like defender, but I would think if you were going like Hydras or something, what we would probably want to look at is maybe putting in some more cards. I think that you have too much variation, but I get the Death Touch for like the Gnarlwood Dryad. I think having a few of those is pretty good because they could be 3/3s with Death Touch, so that makes them an actual pretty good threat. And maybe the Recluse is like some defenders, but also having those creatures that pull the land out. Like when they die, kind of like that Primal Druid guide or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't remember what his name was, but
Primal Druid.
Was it Primal Druid? But yeah, like when he dies, you get a land on the battlefield. That's a good card because I mean that's gonna put more land out to afford the Hydras. And when the Hydras, like every land that you take out of your deck is gonna get you closer to those Hydras. So that's what I would take a look at, maybe just kind of looking at getting some more cards to be able to play those cards. Overall, you like that, right? Kind of crushing people with those big cards. So
Never win, but I can always get rid of the creatures.
yeah, I mean what we'll probably do is play some games on camera so we can kind of take a look and stuff like that. But I mean that's pretty much it. So what would you want to put more of in this deck with the cards that we'll be getting in the future?
So the dinosaurs, they actually seem really good because I haven't looked at them, but since that one, I mean it costs 6 for 6/6, but I think that like Mana-Works or something could have good dinosaur cards, and that Mammoth, I think honestly, like more of these would help.
Why? I mean, you don't want to put too many high costs in there because you already have some pretty high cost cards. I think you actually need to look at the mana curve. So like how many cards you have of certain costs. But anyway, we'll take a look at that. So
I mean,
you want to look at like other
like,
creatures.
Like a 5 for an 8/8 could be good. It is 6 for an 8/8, but like 5 for an 8/8.
I mean, he does give them trample. So
yeah, it gives every creature trample.
But usually when you build the deck, you want all of the cards to kind of do the same thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like you want them all to, you know, kill your opponent or counter them or mill them out or something like that. Sometimes when you try to do too much and you have all these cards that kind of go in different directions, it kind of hinders what we're trying to do. But we'll take a look and we'll look at some options and stuff like that. Hey, Sully, I'm trying to record here. So, you know, we'll take a look at that. Did you have anything else to say before we head out?
Like and subscribe.
Oh, okay. All right, well, guys. Well, that's it for the video. So you saw the deck. We'll be taking a look in the future. Maybe some alternatives. We'll be kind of analyzing the deck, and you know, before we make any changes, we'll put those on there to kind of see how it does. We'll probably also be playing some games on film so that you guys can see kind of how these decks interact, and you yourselves can see the pitfalls of, you know, having certain cards in your deck, like, or too much land or so on and so forth. And if you have any suggestions for this mono green ramp deck with Hydras, you know, please feel free to leave suggestions in the comment section below. And I guess we'll see you guys later. Bye. Such a nerd.